Shabbat Shalom, my brothers and sisters in Yahuwah Elohim, and welcome to our Shabbat Bible study. I hope everybody had a really good week and everything went smoothly for everybody. And now it's time for Shabbat, our rest. So, tonight, gang, we're going to be continuing our study in Shemu'el Aleph, which is 1 Samuel. And we will be starting in chapter 19. We're going to go 19, 20, and 21 tonight. So go ahead and grab your Bibles and we'll get started tonight. Go ahead and get comfy and relax. The week is over. Time to just study and pray and teach our children. Okay? Alright, gang. I'm going to take a drink real quick and we'll get started. Alrighty then. Shemu'el Aleph, which is 1 Samuel, chapter 19. And Shaul spoke to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, to put David to death. But Jonathan, Shaul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan declared to David, saying, My father Shaul seeks to put you to death. And now, please be on your guard until morning, and dwell in secrecy and hide. And I myself shall go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and speak with my father about you, and shall see, and shall let you know. And Jonathan spoke well to David. To Shaul spoke well of David to Shaul his father, and said to him, Let not the sovereign sin against his servant, against David, because he has not sinned against you, and because his works have become very good toward you. Sin. Lawlessness. You're not supposed to be going out and plotting murders. Shaul's like way off the rails by now. He is just having all kinds of issues. Not only that, but he seems like he's just really jealous of David. Jealous, envy, murder. Yeah, lawlessness. Okay, verse 5. For he took his life in his hands and struck the Philistine, and Yahuwah wrought a great deliverance for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then do you sin against innocent blood, to put David to death without cause? And Shaul listened to the voice of Jonathan, and Shaul swore, As Yahuwah lives, he does not die. So Shaul just swore that he's not going to kill David. Okay? He swore to Yahuwah that he's not going to kill David. Yeah. Okay, verse 7. Jonathan then called David, and Jonathan told him all these words. So Jonathan brought David to Shaul, and he was in his presence as before. And there was fighting again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines and struck them a great smiting, and they fled before him. And an evil spirit from Yahuwah came upon Shaul as he sat in his house with his spear in his hand, and David was playing the lyre with his hand. And Shaul sought to strike the spear through David and into the wall, but he slipped away from the presence of Shaul, so he stuck the spear into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. So he tried to kill him again. And Shaul sent messengers to David's house to watch him and to put him to death in the morning. So now he's sending mercenaries, his goons, out there to kill David. And Michal, David's wife, informed him, saying, If you do not save your life tonight, tomorrow you are put to death. So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took the household idol and laid it in the bed. and put a cover of goat's hair for his head, and covered it with a garment. What is she doing with a house idol? Why is David allowing this house idol to be in his house? Very, very odd. But at least she loved David enough to let him know that her father was going to try to 86 him, so to get him out of the house and let him escape. Verse 14, and when Shaul sent messengers to take David, she said, he is sick. And Shaul sent the messengers back to see David, saying, bring him up to me in the bed to put him to death. Interesting. For the preservation of life, Michal lied. But because it's due to the fact that this is Yahuwah's wish, I don't think he held it against her. I think that it was what you would consider maybe a righteous lie. The preservation of life. Because Yahuwah had this all planned out anyway, as he always does. But it's just interesting to see that Michal lied. Let's see what else happens here. Okay, verse 17. Shaul then said to Michal, why have you deceived me like this, and sent my enemy away, so that he escaped? And Michal answered Shaul, he said to me, let me go. Why should I put you to death? So now she's lying that David was the one that incited the escape instead of her. That way her father just kind of takes it that David was the one that set all this up instead of his daughter. That's very interesting. Righteous lie. Okay. Verse 18. Now David fled and escaped, and went to Shemu'el at Ramah, and told him all that Shaul had done to him. And he and Shemu'el went and dwelt in Navith. And it was reported to Shaul, saying, see, David is in Navith, in Ramah. And Shaul sent messengers to take David. And they saw the assembly of the prophets prophesying, and Shemuel standing as leader over them. And the spirit of Elohim came upon the messengers of Shaul, and they also prophesied. So the prophets are, Shemuel is their leader. So because Shemuel has Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh on him, then all the prophets are also being taking in of the Ruach HaKodesh. And when these messengers of Shaul show up there, then the Ruach HaKodesh takes them too, and they're all prophesying. That's pretty wild, Ruach HaKodesh in action. Okay, verse 21, and when Shaul was told, he sent other messengers, and they prophesied likewise. So Shaul sent messengers again, the third time, and they prophesied too. So everybody that came in encounter with Shemuel and the prophets, they just couldn't help themselves. They just started prophesying. Wow, the Ruach was very strong amongst all of them. Verse 22, then he himself went to Ramah, Shaul, and came to the great well that is at Seku. And he asked and said, where are Shemuel and David? And one said, they are in Navith, in Ramah. So he went there to Navith, in Ramah, and the spirit of Elohim was upon him too. And he went on and prophesied until he came to Navith in Ramah. And he also stripped off his garments and prophesied before Shemuel, and lay down naked all that night, and all that day, and all that night. Therefore they say, is Shaul also among the prophets? because the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah just overtook him. And he couldn't do anything. He couldn't speak anything except for what Yah wanted him to say. So even though there was a curse on him, Yah's making him roll around naked in the dirt and prophesying. Whoa. Chapter 20. And David fled from Navith in Ramah, and went and said to Jonathan, What have I done? What is my crookedness? And what is my sin before your father that he seeks my life? David's like, what did I do? I didn't do nothing to the guy. And he's all chapped at me, and he's trying to kill me, keeps throwing spears at me and stuff, sending people to come and kill me. What did I do? Verse 2, And Jonathan said to him, Far be it, you are not gonna die. See, my father does no big matter, nor small matter, without disclosing it to me. And why should my father hide this matter from me? It is not so, because remember, Shaul swore by Yahuwah that he wouldn't do it. Jonathan believed him. Verse 3, But David swore again, and said, Your father knows well that I have found favor in your eyes. And he says, Do not let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly, as Yahuwah lives, and as your being lives, there is but a step between me and death. So David is telling Jonathan, he might have said this oath to you, but you give him 2 chances and he's going to kill me. Verse 4, And Jonathan said to David, Whatever your desire is, I do it for you. And David said to Jonathan, See, tomorrow is the new moon, and I ought to sit with the sovereign to eat. But let me go, and I shall hide in the field until the 3rd day at evening. If your father misses me at all, then you shall say, David earnestly asked my permission to run over to Bethlehem, his city, for a yearly slaughtering is made there for all the clan. Another righteous lie to preserve life. Preserve David's life. Verse 7, And he says thus, It is well, your servant is safe. But if he is very displeased, then know that he has resolved to do evil. And you shall show loving commitment to your servant, for you have brought your servant into a covenant of Yahuwah with you. And if there is crookedness in me, put me to death yourself. For why should you bring me to your father? So if I've done something wrong, David's saying, if I've done something wrong, if I've done something that was evil, then kill me yourself. Instead of taking me to your father, just kill me yourself. Verse 9, And Jonathan said, Far be it from you, for if I knew with certainty that my father has resolved that evil is to come upon you, then would I not make it known to you? And David said to Jonathan, Who would make it known to me? Or what if your father answers you sharply? And Jonathan said to David, Come, and let us go out into the field. And they both went out into the field. So Jonathan was like, Come on, let's get away from everybody else. Let's go chat somewhere it's private. Verse 12, And Jonathan said to David, Yahuwah Elohim of Yisrael, be witness, when I search out my father sometime tomorrow or the 3rd day, and see if there is good toward David, and I do not send to you or disclose it to you. So let Yahuwah do so and much more to Jonathan. And if it pleases my father to do you evil, then I shall disclose it to you and send you away, and you shall go in peace. And Yahuwah be with you, as he has been with my father. But show me the loving commitment of Yahuwah, not only while I still live, so that I do not die. And do not cut off your loving commitment from my house forever. No, not when Yahuwah has cut off every one of the enemies of David from the face of the earth. So Jonathan's saying, just, whatever happens here, it's not me. don't take it out on me or my family, because I didn't do any of this. I'm trying to help you. Verse 16, and Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, Yahuwah shall require it at the hand of the enemies of David. And Jonathan again made David swear, because he loved him, for he loved him as he loved his own being, loved him as a brother. They were like best friends, So they're watching each other's back, even though there's evil running amok. Verse 18, so Jonathan said to him, tomorrow is the new moon, and you shall be missed, because your seat shall be empty. And on the third day, go down quickly, and you shall come to the place where you hid on the day of the deed, and shall remain by the stone Estel. And let me shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though shooting at a target. And see, I shall send the youth, saying, go, find the arrows. If I expressly say to the youth, look, the arrows are on this side of you, get them and come. Then, as Yahuwah lives, there is safety for you, and no concern. But if I say thus to the youth, look, the arrows are beyond you, go your way, for Yahuwah has sent you away. So if he shoots the arrows way, way past where he was shooting at, then David will know. Verse 23, and as for the word which you and I have spoken of, see, Yahuwah is between you and me forever. And David hid in the field, and when the new moon came, the sovereign sat down by the food to eat. And the sovereign sat on his seat, as at other times, on a seat by the wall, with Jonathan standing, and Abner sitting by Shaul's side. But the place of David was empty. But Shaul spoke not a word that day, for he thought, it is an accident. He is not clean, for he has not been cleansed. So he figured he wasn't showing up to dinner because he was unclean. He was doing something nasty, and he had to wait until he was clean. Verse 27, and it came to be the next day, the second day of the new moon, that David's place was empty. And Shaul said to Jonathan his son, why has the son of Yeshai not come to eat, either yesterday or today? And Jonathan answered Shaul, David earnestly asked my permission to go to Bethlehem. And he said, please let me go, for our clan has a slaughtering in the city, and my brother has commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in your eyes, please let me get away and see my brothers. That is why he has not come to the sovereign's table. So Jonathan is now lying. There's quite a few lies going on here to preserve David's life. It's very interesting, for the preservation of life and to fight against the evil. Verse 30, then the displeasure of Shaul burned against Jonathan, and he said to him, you son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Yeshai to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? So now he's cussing out Jonathan. Verse 31, for as long as the son of Yeshai lives on the earth, you shall not be established, you and your reign. And now send and bring him to me, for he is a son of death. So as long as David lives, Jonathan will never be king. According to what Shaul is saying, he's telling him, forget it. If I can't kill David, you are never going to become king. And he's cussing him out, and he's just being nasty to Jonathan. Verse 32, and Jonathan answered Shaul his father, and said to him, why should he be put to death? What has he done? At that, Shaul hurled a spear at him to smite him. Then Jonathan knew that his father had resolved to put David to death. So not only has he cussed him out and called him a nasty names and stuff, but he threw a spear at him too. So he tried to kill his own son. Shaul is in bad way. Verse 34, and Jonathan rose up from the table in the heat of displeasure, and ate no food the second day of the new moon, for he was grieved for David, because his father put him to shame. And it came to be in the morning that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and a small youth was with him. And he said to the youth, Now run, find the arrows which I shoot. As the youth ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the youth came to the place where the arrow was which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan called out after the youth and said, Is not the arrow beyond you? Giving David the signal. And Jonathan shouted after the youth, Make haste, hurry, do not stand still. And Jonathan's youth picked up the arrows and came to his master. But the youth knew not a speck. Only Jonathan and David knew of the matter. Then Jonathan gave his weapons to the youth and said to him, Go, take them to the city. And as soon as the youth had gone, David rose up from the south side and fell on his face to the ground and bowed down 3 times. And they kissed one another, and they wept together, but David more so. So as soon as the message had been given, Jonathan sent the youth on his way with his bow and arrow, said, Go, put these away for me, would you please? And then him and David had a moment together, and they kissed each other on the cheek, and, they wept together because they realized at that point that Shaul was really going to come after David. So, yeah, they had kind of a moment there. Verse 42, and Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, since we have both sworn in the name of Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah is between you and me, and between your seed and my seed forever. Then he arose and left, and Jonathan went into the city. So, yeah, kind of a sad situation there, because Jonathan wants to be loyal to his father, but he knows that his father is just, off the rails, wicked, having all kinds of issues and wanting to kill David, and he's not going to allow that to happen, because him and David are like brothers. They're watching each other's back. This is a bad scene. All right, chapter 21. And David came to Nob, to Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech trembled when he met David, and asked him, Why are you alone, and no one was with you? Okay, so the high priest is like, Wait a minute, how come you're here by yourself? And David said to Ahimelech the priest, The sovereign has commanded me a word, and said to me, Let no one know whatever of the word about which I send you, and which I have commanded you, and I have directed my young men to such and such a place. So now David's telling a righteous lie to try to cover his trail so that Shaul doesn't find out what's going on here. Whew. Verse 3, And now, what do you have on hand? Give 5 loaves into my hand, or whatever is found. And the priest answered David, and said, There is no ordinary bread on hand, but there is set-apart bread, provided the young men have kept themselves from women. So he's saying, whoever's with you, they better be clean, because I'm getting ready to give you the shoe bread that we have right here inside the tent. You guys got to be clean, because I'm not supposed to be doing this. This is for Yahuwah. But see, it's the day-old bread. They're getting ready to replace it anyway. Verse 4, And the priest answered David and said, verse 5. Boy. And David answered the priest and said to him, Truly, women have been kept from us about 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are set apart, and it is an ordinary mission, and also it was set apart in the vessel today. Think there was anybody really with David? It doesn't say. It really doesn't say if David had anybody with him or not. It said that he took off by himself. So, that must be part of the deception, that there's other men with him. The priest gave him set-apart bread, for there was no bread there except the showbread, which had been taken from before Yahuwah, in order to put hot bread in on the day it is taken away. So see, it's coming right off the table, and they're getting ready to replace it anyway. But it's supposed to be for the priests. They're giving it to David. Ahimelech is giving it to David to eat. So that just kind of goes all the way around that Yahuwah is in control of all of this. And he's okay with all of the things that are going on here. Verse 7. Now one of the servants of Shaul was there that day, detained before Yahuwah, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chief of the herdsmen, who belonged to Shaul. And David said to Ahimelech, Is there not here on hand a spear or a sword? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the matter of the sovereign was urgent. So he's unarmed. He doesn't have anything with him. And he's asking the priest, hey, you guys got any weapons around here that I could borrow or I could have or something, because I haven't got anything. And the priest is probably like, oh, wait a minute, how come you don't have any weapons on you? Isn't that kind of weird? Verse 9, and the priest said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you struck in the valley of Elah. See, it is wrapped in a garment behind the shoulder garment. If you would take it, for there is none other except this one here. And David said, There is none like it. Give it to me. And David rose and fled that day from before Shaul, and went to Achish, the sovereign of Gath. The sovereign of Gath. You think anybody's going to recognize that sword in Gath? Goliath of Gath? Excuse me. What a place to run to. Verse 11. But the servants of Achish said to him, Is this not David, the sovereign of the land? Did they not sing of him to each other in dances, saying, Shaul struck his thousands and David his 10,000s? And David took these words to heart, and was very much afraid of Achish, the sovereign of Gath. Yeah, because these guys are all saying, wait a minute, what is David doing here? Hasn't he been killing Philistines all over the place? Why are we letting him in here? Here's our chance, you guys. Let's take him out. Verse 13, and changed his behavior before them, and feigned madness in their hands, and scratched on the doors of the gate, and let his saliva run down on his beard. So he started acting all crazy. As soon as he was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, he started putting on an act that he was nuttier than a fruitcake. Verse 14, then Achish said to his servants, Look, you see the man is acting like a madman. Why do you bring him to me? Why do you bring me this crazy fool? Verse 15, I am short of madmen, that you have brought this one to act as a madman near me. Should this one come into my house? You're going to let every crazy fool come in here? What is this? What is this mess? And that's the end of chapter 21. Quite the adventure. There's so many different things going on here. The dynamics are just wow. And it's interesting that due to the fact that Yahuwah has got control of all of this, that he is allowing these righteous lies, these deceptions, in order to facilitate David getting out of there and not getting killed. That's pretty interesting for the preservation of life. Let that sink in for a little while. Chew on that, because that's something definitely to think about. All right, gang. That's all I've got for you tonight. I hope that each one of you have a wonderful Shabbat. I hope that you just spend the day in prayer and in study and spend it with your children. Please, teach your children. Please. They need you to teach them. They need to be taught. Time is growing short. Time is growing very short. And we need to help these children along as much as we can. Okay, so all of us have learned Torah, and we're following Torah to the best of our broken abilities, and we are doing it as well as we can. You know, we have our moments, we all do, because we're human. But our children, they need our help. They need our help. So please, if nothing else, spend the day with your children, with your grandchildren. Try to teach them. Show them the way. The way. Show them. Show them this is what we do on the Sabbath. This is how we conduct ourselves, because we are a set apart people. We are set apart to Yahuwah Elohim. And this book right here tells us who Yahuwah is and how we are supposed to conduct ourselves as his children. Okay? Do your best. Try to help these little ones, or they don't stand a chance. Alright, gang. That's all I've got. Y'all take care and enjoy your Shabbat, okay? And every one of you that are seeking knowledge and wisdom through of Yahuwah Elohim, bless you. Bless you all. Alright, gang. I will see you again midweek on the 4th day for our next study in Shemu'el Aleph. Y'all have a great evening and a great day. And we'll see you then. Shalom.